It's up, Collective Sessions. Collective Sessions. I will put the actual link in the chat box, the chat room area. Have that. We are live. Let me just add the link in the chat box for us. And okay, the link is in the chat room, the group chat. Okay, welcome. Good evening, everyone. Our loyal listeners in the United States and Africa and Europe and all over the world. You are tuned in to Collective Sessions, Healing America, the Reparations Illinois chapter. And we are in our 4th chapter of our docu-series. And boy, has it been a ride and very informative. The natural progression, as my co-host talked about, is just evolving perfectly. And tonight, we have our special guest from Boca Raton, Florida, renowned, well-known casting director from out of Miami, Florida. I met her when I was a little girl. I was honed in by Ada Gordon, and only, a few people know who Ada Gordon was, but she developed my career at a young age and put me into the industry. And one of my first featured films was Band of the Hand, TriStar, with Lauren Fishburne out in South Beach. I was a little girl jumping rope, and then from there I just kept going, and it's an industry that you fall in love with. But tonight we have I don't want to talk about myself too long. We're here to meet and get to know Miss Ellen Jacoby. Welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes. I'm just so honored that you have the time to spend with us tonight to discuss who you are. And, our focus is reparations, as you know, and we talked briefly about that before we booked you to come on the show. We wanted you to just feel comfortable discussing it. And because we feel like it's a topic that has been reignited recently with all the Black Lives Matter situation and the George Floyd and the things that have been going on in the United States of America and abroad. So our collective session started, just to give you some history of it. We had the former mayor, Aaliyah, is it Philip Ruddock?
Yes, Philip Ruddock.
Of Australia. He was our guest. And then we had Ali Kohan. He is the Justice Kohan from Pakistan, and they launched our series and had something to say regarding reparations. And then we had James Cannon, Nick Cannon's father. We've had Senator Roland Boris, who was the senator that was appointed to take Obama's seat. And he also talked about reparations and was on this show. And then we had a king from out of Africa last week. So I'm glad to have you here with us. So can you tell, how is it? I know I looked at your resume, and you've been in the industry for a long time.
Since I was 10.
Since how long? 2000?
I've had my company now for 36 years.
Wow.
Wow is right.
Yeah. That's a blessing to be in this industry for that long, and to.
You're right.
It's a hard industry.
Doing what I love.
Yes. It says when you do what you love, you don't work a day of your life. Right? So I see on your resume, you were involved with the casting with Muhammad Ali.
Yes. That was the second film I did with Will Smith. Love working with Will. Great guy. And Muhammad came to the set, so I met Muhammad, and it was really very nice. And the trainer I met, who's since passed, and Muhammad Ali Jr. calls me every once in a while to say hi.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, Aaliyah, do you have something to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to touch base on the series and where we've come and where Ellen can sort of pick up on where we've been. And we're sort of navigating a course here of establishing a case for reparations. And we want to discuss with the different guests that we have what their thoughts are. There's no right or wrong. It's an open discussion, and we're here to sort of just engage with people at a level that may be able to represent our viewership, and establish some dialogue around the issue, because it's a cause that's sort of buried right now. And it's a continuum of the Black Lives Matter and part of what people could consider a healing. So if we go further, we can talk about, well, I'm based here in Illinois, the state of where Abraham Lincoln had resided in Springfield, and we took that sort of energy and put it into motion. Reparations should have been established back then, but it just never evolved. And we're here now in 2021, where we looked at the date of the Emancipation Proclamation on New Year's, and the circle sort of came about again. And we had Justice Johann establish, he's a UN representative, that reparations should be given and honored to American descendants of slaves, particularly the African descendants that have not been acknowledged at large. And then we had Philip Ruddock, who introduced reparations that calls for Indigenous people in Australia. We went further to talk with other guests about what their views or ideas for reparations. So tonight we're just going to pick up on that conversation. And we thank you for being here tonight.
My, thank you very much. I really not too opinionated on reparations. I also teach acting aside from casting. And one thing I tell everybody, you have to be positive, especially in this time. It's a crazy age. I can't believe what's going on, not only in this country, but in the world. So I tell everybody, take a deep breath, be positive. Don't hang on to the past, move forward. And I stress that a lot, because that's how you can grow and learn and develop yourself. If you live in the past, you're always going to be fighting for the reparations and etc. And I just think it's so much more productive to push yourself forward. What happened in the past is history. It's done. There's no changing it. There's just trying to deal with it positively and moving on from there. I feel strongly about that. I know so many people are due reparations, but you're kind of living in the past. I want people to set goals and achieve their goals in a positive manner. And I tell my students, there's nothing you can't do. If you want to do it, you taste it, you eat it, you sleep it, then go for it. But moving forward, not backward.
So Miss Ellen, I've heard from people in the African American community that said, they would love to move forward with their lives, but the history, it's just nostalgia. It's kind of stopping them from just moving forward with their lives when there is a reparations or wrong that has not been dealt with or addressed.
I understand that, but when you think about it, how many wrongs have there been throughout history that have not been addressed? I don't like them taking down statues, defaming statues. They just did one for Abraham Lincoln. I don't know what's going on in this country. It's just not right. It's history. And not that I agree with it. It was something that happened that was not right. But at that time, I don't know if the people even really knew what they were doing. But thank God it evolved into something positive. And if you live in the past, You're always going to be pushing for that, pushing, going backward. And when they, when they get reparations, what are they going to do with them? I mean, is it really going to make your life better? What direction do you have that you're aiming forward? You understand? I want people to have plans for living their life and being happy and giving and getting respect and giving respect. And I know I've auditioned, I don't see color. I don't. It's, black, white, yellow, red, purple. I don't care. I want good actors. And I think in order for me to see good actors, they have to be living the role that they're going to be doing and achieving that and attaining it. I don't think that by looking backwards, you're going to get the same results. I mean, when you think about it, isn't everybody owed something for some wrong that's been done to them? There's so many people doing wrongs for how long? Since they stole people and brought them over in ships. It was very wrong. And that many of them were treated very mistreated. Some I'm sure were treated as nice as, some of the people were, but it has nothing to do with what happened. And I don't know how it happened, who came up with this crazy idea, making slaves out of people. I don't understand it. I mean, I would never see it happening in this day and age, but it probably is going on somewhere in the world that I don't know about,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you just got to get them out of that and have them see the hope for the future. And
That's
live
good.
for making your life the best you can make it moving forward. I understand memories and thinking back, and you always have those, but you can't live there. You have to live in the here and now.
Okay.
And in a positive way. You don't want to moan or groan and be unhappy. I want people to smile and enjoy life and make it the infectious smile that other people will also smile. And when you're smiling and you're happy, you have control of yourself and you can move forward.
That's okay. Well, I've heard that, poverty, because a lot of statistically, the wealth gap in the African American community is very low compared to other ethnicities, the white, and I want to even say the Chinese. But now that is traumatic. And to piggyback on what you're talking about is a positive attitude. But when being poor is traumatic, on top of the history of being brought over here as a slave and being treated and sold and raped and beaten and killed and fed to the alligators, and it's a horrible thing to think about, but it happened. It happened. So how do you, when I say, what are your thoughts on an apology, a formal acknowledgement?
Hasn't that been done? It should be done. But again, none of us experienced it. Right?
Right. Ms. Allen?
None of the people for reparations have experienced it. Their families prior might have, but they haven't. Don't live in the past.
It's kind of hard when I have ancestors and aunts and uncles who are still living, who on the birth certificate, it says Negro or colored, and that's not too far down the line for me. So it's still, I want to say I am an African descendant of a slave. I am. So I'm representing that. And, I see my community, and I do see even in the industry, the entertainment industry, it's a very expensive industry to stay in and afford. As being an actress, classes there's always a fee. There's always a new photo session or photo shoot or headshot that you have to maintain, a recent headshot. There's always auditions and there's a cost to being in this industry. And I just think, you know, reparations could assist the minority group and just giving them a fair, balanced chance in this industry as well as being, you know, successful actors in the industry, or be able to at least afford the cost of moving to LA or moving back to Miami to film, or Georgia, things of that nature. But so what do you think of when I say 40 acres and a mule?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. What do I think? What?
40 acres and a mule.
40 acres and a mule?
Yes.
Is that what you like?
That, I mean, I could use a horse. Yes, I would like that. But, you know.
I don't know. I don't think that you have personally suffered from the slavery. I'm sure your family has. You know, your older relatives that you mentioned, but you haven't. And I would just try to help them with moving on. I think when something horrible happens to you, you can't repair yourself if you keep living in the horror.
Mm.
And there was horror. It was. But I don't know if that's going to make it better. It might help some who want to use the money productively. But I think those people, just like being in any business, it's not just, any profession is expensive. You got to go to school, you got to be a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse. I mean, anything you want to do, it takes time and energy and money to do your studies. And a doctor, then you got to have money to have personnel and an office. And, you know, so it always takes, no matter what industry you're in, it takes, you're wanting it so badly. And you have to save and you have to work part-time jobs. I know I did. I worked part-time jobs at the beginning. You know, you do what you can so that you can smile and say, I did it. It was a lousy job, but I did it because look what it got me.
So my understanding is your form of reparations is more of some coaching type of mindset that needs to be established for those who may not necessarily be able to think along those lines. Perhaps having centers opened up, empowerment discussions, and so forth. That could be a possibility, or just having one-on-one coaching, maybe in school, or something. I think some of what you have touched on is actually going to resonate with a lot of America tonight in terms of healing and what healing is. And different people have different understandings. Some people would rather have something that restores them to, you know, in legal concept of being paid for damages done, or for services provided if they were working on a plant or something like that. But in your eyes, you believe it to be more about the direction of the future, that is a closed chapter, and people need to learn how to deal with that emotionally in some other way. Is that correct?
I do believe that. And I don't think that the youth of today is really, has any bearing. I don't think any of them were hurt by it. At the time it went on, a lot of people were hurt. They were mistreated, abused. We know this. But I don't think that that has happened in the past many, many years. You know, we have that out on the streets and we read about these things all the time, but not as slavery. And I don't really think that they can pay people what they think. No one's ever going to be satisfied because they can't leave it alone. So what if somebody gives someone some money? It doesn't stop what happened to them. It doesn't make it, oh, okay, here's money, it's all better now. I mean, if someone raped me and then years later gave me some money so I'd feel better, that doesn't take it away. It doesn't take the pain away of happening to me. But you know, grandchildren, if I had grandchildren, they wouldn't have been affected by that. They would have a memory of maybe if I told them. But you've got to move forward. You can't be negative in the past. You've got to think of the good things, because there were good things too.
Okay.
And I don't think that I think someone started something, people are getting on the bandwagon, which I understand. But I don't know if that's really going to help. I would like to see, I think motivational speaking is very important. And I know I give much more than I get. And that's what makes me happy. My students think I'm wonderful and I'm a great motivational speaker, and I keep them smiling.
Mhm.
And a lot of them came to me very, crying and all upset. But I think that when you really work with someone and you get them to help themselves, and that they know they can help themselves and they can move onward and upward, I think that's the greatest.
Okay. A lot of delving within yourself requires some form of mentorship or a lot of inner reflection. And unfortunately, some people are so stuck in a frame of mind or in a circumstance, it's hard for them. So what I do believe is you're talking about empowerment and some ways to go about that. And let's start moving the dialogue that way, and how you believe what tools of empowerment people can provide for themselves. Possibly having counseling sessions and therapy is one way to go about providing a form of reparations in America. And perhaps, having funding towards that for people to openly be able to discuss in community groups what they feel and face on a daily basis, and shift and stop shifting blame and sort of perhaps looking inward is perhaps what I'm understanding right now.
That's pretty much how I'm thinking. I mean, when you think of the Holocaust and remunerations, I mean, what happened was terrible. I mean, terrible things have happened throughout history. But I think that it stays bad if you stay in it. I understand striving to be better and getting some help along the way, but you've got to aim high. You've got to think positive. And you can do things for people that have been hurt in the past or been wronged, but they still have to know that they've got to move forward.
And can we have some tips or motivational talk tonight? Let's open the ears for that, and have people listen on in. Let's have some tips from Ellen Jacoby. I'm sure people, you've had. I was reading you had or listening to a talk where you've had more than 300 employees at a time. So
no, they weren't employed. I booked over 300,000 actors in movies and TVs and commercials. And to me, that's making people's dreams come true. And that's what I want to do. And if they need my help, I've always opened it up for my students to reach out to me. I don't charge them. There are people that have hearts and want other people to succeed. Maybe it's where I'm at my time of life. I don't know. But at this point, I want to give. I want to give back, and I want to help people attain their goals. And of course, in my industry, it's quite difficult right now. There's like no filming going on. And I can't have a casting. I have to do a casting. I have to do by people making self-tapes and send them to me. I can't audition hundreds of people in person right now, which is kind of sad. I enjoy that. But I get self-tapes in. It takes a little of the personal touch away, but I can still see the talent and get them work. Of course, there's not near as much work as we would like going on.
Mm-hmm.
It gives them something to strive for. So when this whole pandemic and everything is finally over, they're going to be making movies like crazy. They're going to start filming like crazy. And all my students, they're going to be ready. they're going to be ready to hit the ground running.
So what are your tips for coping with this pandemic?
I tell people to wear a mask, all those simple things. But then I tell people there is positive in the pandemic, in the fact that you're going to be closer to your family. And Zoom is the best thing. You can Zoom with your friends. You can Zoom with other actors, run lines, read scripts. And I encourage that. I tell people, I don't want you to watch the news. You can tune in once a day max, but you've got to be happy, in control, think forward. And when you do that and you have goals and dreams, and I want people to reach their goals and their dreams, and you have to want that. You really have to want it. I mean, I started people out, I'll never forget, years ago, I was doing a TV series and I was looking for some background people, paid $50 a day back then. And I wanted a core group that would work every single day. And because it was Mortal Kombat, because of that genre, they could wear masks or, hairstyles, all different things. We could always change their looks. It wouldn't be like you're looking at the same person every day. This girl stayed with me for $50 a day for 2 years on the show. And then I was doing that was in Orlando. I was doing a casting also in Miami, and I needed fabulous hair. It was a hair spot, shooting in South Africa. And I auditioned, they were happy, but they said, we want something a little more exotic. And I immediately thought of that girl that had been working for 2 years for me. And I got her talent agent in Orlando, and I called and I said, send her down to Miami. It'll be worth the trip. And sure enough, she booked it. So from $50 a day, she went to a hair commercial job for 20 grand. She got it. And then she went and she started studying acting. And she's a series regular on a major TV show right now. You can do it if you want it. And it is work. And there's sacrifice. There's work and sacrifice in anything you want to be. Oh, yeah, I want to go to that party tonight. Sorry, you have to be on the set at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. There'll be many more parties.
Yes. I just keep thinking of that reparations is something that it's a debt owed. It's not, some of our prior guests have said their argument was that they worked, or our ancestors worked for 300 years for free, and we helped build the foundation and structure for the United States of America. So it's not like it's a handout. It's something that is owed.
Well, it was kind of a newer country back then. And I don't think that you can give reparations to those who have passed and suffered. And I think we can give them blessings. I just don't think that people today were harmed in any way. Now, I think that the world has an understanding of what happened, and hopefully won't happen again. There's been, like I said, there's been many things that have been horrible throughout history. And I feel badly about some of those things. I mean, I had family that died in the Holocaust. It's very sad when you think about what's happened through the ages by maniacs. But I don't think that it should stop people from moving forward. I don't want people just to see, oh, well, I want to get money, just so they can sit around with it and have money to do whatever they want with. I still want to see them be productive. Maybe if reparations were some kind of a fund for actors, reparations for people that want to become doctors, where they need money to study, reparations for people that want to go to college.
Okay.
I understand that.
Okay. So
But
more grants. We're thinking more, yes.
Yeah.
funding for particular, okay, grants and fundings. Okay,
Exactly.
okay.
Okay, so
Elias,
that's
something?
basically what Senator Roland Burris was discussing as well, where they want to establish various grants for various people once they establish that they were a descendant of slave. I mean, obviously not everybody comes within that category. There would be a need to verify the whole process through either birth or death certificate and so forth. And just empowerment of communities is so important. And I think a sense of having community in each other's back is also very much needed in today's time. I would also like to touch on, you mentioned meeting Muhammad Ali on set and what you believe he would be saying if he were alive today on the reparations clause. Is that a possibility for you to be able to delve and dive into his mind? Or
I don't think so. I met him a few times and we talked, but it was very casual. I don't really know how he would feel about this. And I've never discussed it with his son, who I'm in touch with.
and how was he? Was at the time during the filming, was he excited? Was he boisterous? Was he?
He was very nice, had a smile on his face, watched some of the filming, and we had a good time. We had a good time. It was really, it was special. You know, he's a hero.
There's a very important movie on the civil rights cause, and we've come a long way. Or do you believe that we are pretty much in a similar time?
No, I think we've come a long way. But again, I don't think everybody has. And that's what we have to. All of us need to move forward and look for the good in things and do good and be good. And then you can expand your knowledge. I tell my class, I like to learn something new every day. I might never use it, I don't know, but it's fun because you are gaining knowledge. And as an actor, you have to keep expanding so that you could do a hooker role, or you could be a judge. I mean, you have to be that flexible. And it's really important that you take the chance. My theory of acting is, everybody says sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. My theory is sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. If you've learned, you haven't lost. So we're constantly learning. And the more we learn, the more we can grow and move forward. If we don't, we stay stagnant and tend to live in the past. You know, when my grandfather passed, the last thing he said to me was, "Don't ever have any regrets." You know, it's like, okay, how do you do that? But when I think about it, and I tell my class this all the time, I don't want any of you to have regrets. If you think it out and you've decided on what you want to do it. If it doesn't work out, you learned something and it won't happen again. But every step you take has to be a step forward. And the worst thing would be to say, what if I did? What if I would have done what I wanted? What if? And that's not good. Weigh it out. Bring your heart involved. Your heart has good instincts. And go for it. I know it sounds silly, but I do believe that.
It's not silly. There's actually a lot of motivational and highly performing people do believe in those philosophies. So I wouldn't be so dismissive of that. I do believe that, you know, I mean, reparations could be a grant or whatever, but at the same time, people also need to have a mindset. Everybody needs to be able to say, okay, this is a closed chapter now. And I think an apology, or even America acknowledging at large that this is our form of reparations for you, I think that could be something that might calm the division that some people believe it exists. I mean, it's a frame of mind again. And or in people's eyes, they may have legitimately suffered in certain ways, due to either, systematic oppression, or, certain phrases that they were called, or, possible setbacks during job applications and so forth. I'm what I can do is try to empathize with people, and try to understand where they're coming from, and then where other people are coming from. And that's what this whole show is about, that dialogue and meeting of minds and understanding and building that bridge. I think that's important. I mean, you had a different view. It's fine. It's totally legitimate. And in your eyes, you believe that possible funding of HBCUs is one way to address the issue, or possible, pursuit of people's dreams, and the teaching of that philosophy from a young age might assist people.
Yes, I agree. I agree with that.
Yes. So, Ms. Ellen, could you tell our viewers in the world, how could they get in contact with you if they were interested in coming to one of your classes or your seminars?
Google me, Ellen Jacoby. I'm everywhere.
Yeah.
Even with my bad hair day.
Oh, you look gorgeous. Don't worry about it.
I'm everywhere. Yeah, I'm
Yes.
easy enough to find. You can email me. Yeah, I'm easy enough to find.
Okay.
And as I said, even if you're not positive, I've gotten so many that are not positive. They're positive now. And I get so many thank yous, heartfelt thoughts and feelings. Because now, especially now, you can still move forward with your life, even though there are so many restrictions on all of us, but we can still move forward with our life.
Right.
Absolutely.
We touched on the Holocaust earlier. I think that's important for us to touch on your narrative as well, and coming to an understanding of what you went through, or your ancestors in that. Would you like to touch on that for us a little bit?
Well, I got to tell you the truth. I personally didn't go through anything, so I didn't live it. I didn't regret it. Distant relatives from when I was a baby that I didn't even know. So I can understand the sadness of certain family members and everything, but there's nothing that can be done about it now. We've got to move forward. And we try not to let something like that or other horrors happen again.
Okay.
And I think if we had a more positive world, if we had some more respect for each other and respect for ourselves, it would be a better world. I don't want to hear politics, Democrats, Republicans. I don't care. We need to work together to make things better and good. And I know it can be done. I know it can. I've seen it firsthand. And to make a difference in so many people's lives like that. And as I said, I believe in giving back. I think that everybody should be happy to give. When they receive, it's like when you give someone a gift and they open it and they love it, right? It makes you feel good. It makes you feel good to give someone and get a smile. That's the biggest reward you can get, is to make someone else happy and smile.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I don't know if the
Just making someone grow eventually comes back to you in such a great way.
Absolutely. And I don't know if reparations will make people smile. It'll be just a temporary smile. Well, I got this. I should have gotten that. I didn't get enough. I got too much. It's over. It's done. Move forward. You don't know if people are going to complain. I should have gotten more. There's always some complainers, no matter what field you're in. in the acting field too. But, you know, move forward positively. It's got to be, that's why I think the grants are a great idea, because it gives them direction
Okay.
and it helps
Okay.
them pick a direction.
Okay. Nice. So that falls along of the lines of what Senator Roland Boris is working towards, the funding, not reparations, it's funding for grants to be distributed to different sections for schooling, mental health, vocational training, housing, doctor, Medicare and insurance and things of that nature. So I think that might be the way that this is going to pan out
Then it
as
would be
far as the
positive,
funding.
in a positive, productive direction, for sure.
So
Okay.
on top of that,
So do you agree that, okay.
so on top of that, I'm also hearing a gratitude mindset. Is that something that you believe in
Yes.
deeply each day?
I do believe in that, because I know that when you give somebody something, you make them smile, it makes you smile. So the gratitude is for you as well as the others.
I'm
So-
smiling because I'm so grateful. I'm grateful because Ellen is on the show tonight.
Yeah, well, we're grateful, we're honored, we're blessed with your
Yes.
presence and with your philosophy,
Yes.
and just even your experience. I mean, when in life did these sort of issues come to your mind? I mean, everybody has their own growth game and timeline for when they actually come about and think about what these terms actually mean to them. How did that evolve? Is that okay? Is that too
You know, I started, all these actors say, well, how am I going to start? I got my headshot, but I don't have any resume. You know, I started the same way. I opened up my business. I started pounding the pavement, knocking on doors, you know, but I had a goal. I saw a positive future. And that's what you have to do. You have to find what's going to make you happy. And it comes from inside. You know, maybe you want to be a fireman. Maybe you want to be a cop. Maybe you want to be a doctor. Maybe you want to be a tennis pro, football player, whatever it is. You have to work hard because you want to achieve a goal. And working hard never bothered me. I'd have to be up at 4:30. When I did the movie The Water Boy, I was on set every morning at 4:30, got home at 10 o'clock at night, every night. That was the whole time we were shooting at the ball, where I had to fill it with the stands with people. But, you know, it's exciting. It's invigorating. I love what I'm doing. Who knows what time it is?
Wow.
Who cares?
Mhm.
You love what you're doing. And that's what you have to do. You have to love what you're doing. And it's going to be a lot of trial and error, a lot of life observation. I tell people to watch people. That's how you can tell. I love sitting in hotel lobbies or airports watching people. You can tell what they do for a living just by, I can watch them and tell you what they are. You can see if people are positive or negative. You can just see by people walking around. People walking around looking at the beautiful day. You can see. And I want to make people happy. I want people to achieve their dreams. This is what at this point in my life, I don't know what started. Maybe a couple of years ago, I decided I really wanted to give back. And I feel like I am. I just won the Mandy Award for 2020, Mandy.com. Casting director.
Congratulations. Yes.
In the whole United States. I was like, oh my God. But then I was reading some of the letters that they sent me that, you know, they were sent. And for me to know how I've touched people's lives, that's priceless.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if everybody tried to attain their own happiness
Mm-hmm.
and made others happy, That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Have kids. I mean, what happened to the sanctity of marriage?
Mhm.
You know, that's like, it's kind of sad.
Mhm.
There were so many beautiful things and they're just like dropping by the wayside. We need to bring that beauty back.
Mhm.
What do you find, what do you believe is the demise for that? I mean, what do you think, or how do you think, in your experience? What are you seeing? I'm sure you observe a lot. Just by looking at people, you can tell a lot. So
Yeah. Been a
I'd like
lot
to air that out.
people. I don't know. I really don't know. All I can do is do what I know how to do best and pass it forward, pay it forward, pass it on. Unless someone really opens up to wanting to improve themselves and wanting to have a dream, a goal, an aspiration, everybody should have that. Oh, no, nothing will ever come to me. I'm just going to sit around. I'll watch some TV. I'll just get some job. And, you know, there's so much more you could get. And I meet hopeful, positive people all the time. I meet people in stores when I go shopping that have such great attitudes. I say, oh my God, I can't believe how nice you are. And you're working at Publix as a cashier. And you're just such a nice person. Next movie I have, if you want to be an extra, I'll call you, let me know. And I do that all the time. I pull people out of everyday life that have great attitudes. Oh, I'd love to be an extra in a movie. Great, done. And then I call them and they love it. They might not want to do it again, but they had an experience that they will never forget.
Yes.
Yes. Well, that's how I started out as an extra on a lot of, I think, Big Trouble. We filmed that. And then I was on the Burn Notice. And then they end up bumping me up. So yeah, it's exciting. It's an exciting day to be on the set with hundreds of other people working together as a group. And you're there for hours. And then you have the food and the craft services, and it's a wonderful learning experience. And I met a lot of wonderful people.
You're learning things and you're not having to pay for the lesson. They're paying you.
Yeah.
Learn about being on a set.
Yes.
Seeing stars. Some stars are very nice and they'll let you take a picture with them. We always discourage that, but some stars walk over and just do that just for the people that are there. I mean, it's just really, it's special when doing something you want and you don't know. Oh, I want to be on a movie set. I want to be on a movie. And then you're an extra and you say, oh my gosh, I don't want to be here for 13 hours. That's not my cup of tea. And that's what it is. A shooting day is 13 hours.
It's 13 hours, sometimes 48 hours, sometimes 48.
My longest shooting day, my longest shooting day was 22 hours. And that's a long day. But after, like 14 hours, everybody doesn't mind. They're all falling asleep, but everybody says, because
they're all family by that point.
All the time. Everybody's making a lot of money.
Right.
So we're tired of smiling.
Yes. It's worth it, definitely. Well, I sure hope when the pandemic and everything eases up and the restrictions, that the tax incentive that Georgia has for filming, do you believe that Florida might adopt that same concept to bring some work back?
Very tough. That's very tough. I know that I went to, as a matter of fact, when we were losing them once before, I went to Tallahassee. I go to Tallahassee a lot to fight for the incentives. And I brought Jeffrey Donovan with me. And we got incentives.
Yes, Jeffrey Donovan, yes. Oh, okay.
I brought him with me and we got incentives. Now those incentives are gone. Burn Notice left. And we have no incentives. And the Koch brothers, of course, there's only one now, but they were discouraging Florida incentives and really pushing Georgia. So we have not got any, but of the 300,000, more than 300,000 people, they're almost all Florida residents that I've hired.
Mhm.
And I don't know if people understand. It's clean. It's a green industry.
Yes.
And like when I did True Lies, we had 500 in crew. We have to feed those people at least 2 meals a day,
Mhm.
plus the cast.
Mhm.
Where do we get their food? All the local markets. We
Yes.
have all the generators we have to fill up with gas, and all the
Yes.
vehicles. Where do we get that? Local gas stations.
Gas stations, yes.
Buy lumber, 100 grand at a local lumber store. So
Yes.
it goes out into the community. These people can pay their mortgages.
Yes.
You know, these people, and that's only the money we can track. But the crew, they go to the laundromats and spend their money locally. They go out
Yes.
at night. They go out
To
dining.
eat, the per diems, yes.
Yeah,
Mhm. Shopping.
track their spending, but
Mhm.
a lot of the money that they're earning, they're spending in the community.
Yes.
So I know when I opened up my office, my first office I opened up was on Lincoln Road in Miami Beach. And it was just totally decrepit. Everything was fallen. It was horrible, but I could afford it. And I opened up on Lincoln Road. My first job was Miami Vice, the TV series. And I needed a lot of street people. And I just went down to the street. I could find anybody I wanted. It was homeless. It was horrible. Ocean Drive, everything was just horrible. But with the entertainment industry coming in, we got such a boom.
Mhm.
All the hotels were able to redo. They were all had fallen to decay. They all now are gorgeous. But what happens is they turn their back on the entertainment industry. Once it's done its deed, they turn their back on it. Meanwhile, what would tourism be in Miami without CSI Miami, without Burn Notice Miami, without all these movies?
Miami Vice, yes.
In Miami.
Mhm.
Miami Vice, the series, Miami Vice, the movie.
Yes.
You know, when you think about it, it's God, the series Burn Notice was shown in hundreds of countries. So was CSI Miami, you know,
Yes.
all over the world. And of
Mm.
course, everybody wants to come down here. I've spoken to the mayor many times, you know, and they all want to, oh, is this where Burn Notice was shot? Oh, is this where this was shot? Yeah. And then I also work with different task force when I look for background. I work with the police task force and all to give kids alternative lifestyles. I will put them in as extras and pay them so they could see. And some of them have gone on to become members of crew. You know, gives them something they would like and enjoy. They see something, oh, I'd like that. I'd like to do that. Great, let's do it.
Yeah.
You know, I did a movie. I was looking for extras and everything, and I worked with the police. And I give them a card to fill out. We take a picture, put it on there so we know what they look like. And I asked for special skills. Most of the special skills were drive-bys that they'd written down.
Mm.
And yet they all came. They were extras. They didn't complain. We fed everybody, you know, we feed everybody. We have crafts all day long. And I was approached by several afterward. I like this. How can I become an actor? Crew was approached. And as I said, some people actually dove right in, and how great it was.
Mm.
This is good. Well, Miss Ellen, it's been an honor
Oh,
to have you on the show tonight. Unfortunately, we're winding down and we're coming towards the ending, the closing of our segment on reparations. And then, I mean, it's been an honor to have you on the show. And anytime, 'cause yeah, yes. I'm glad you still have the same number. So that
Actually, it's 34 years. Yep, I've had that number for 34 years.
talk about consistency. Yes. Wow.
You got to
Elias,
stay in touch with me. Please, both of you stay in touch with me.
Yes, we will. We will. Aaliyah, is there anything you would like to say?
I just want her to, if she's able to, on this platform, to give a message out to the audience tonight, and what would her final words be?
Wow. Have no regrets.
Mm,
I like that. You want something, go for it.
mm.
Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the message of looking within and just empowering oneself with hard work. I mean, hard work sometimes requires a lot of self-assessment. And in today's society, it's very difficult for, you know, I mean, a lot of people just maybe struggle with being honest with themselves.
Mm.
And sometimes they project flaws onto other people. And you know, it's interesting, but I do believe in growing people, and with growth comes another form of fruition as well. And I think that's why you, partly the reason why you got to where you are today. You help so many people and have touched so many lives. And even just in sitting with a small segment, I mean, I can catch your positivity sitting here. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
Okay, thank you for tuning in to Collective Sessions, the Reparations Illinois chapter. Stay tuned for next Sunday for our next and our final episode, which will be Daughtery. One of his students and mentors will be on the show to tie up and close out our series. At the bottom, if you want to donate, press the link at the bottom. And be safe, stay well, and we will see you next week.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.